Okay, well, I think there are lots of ways that a language centre can really amplify what's going on in an individual school, as well as to reach out to the local community. I think that the most important thing to start off with is to promote the fact that a language centre exists, because it may be that there are local schools that don't actually realise that literally a few kilometres away there's a language centre there. So I think that maybe starting up a blog to encourage cluster schools to hear about what's going on at the language centre with relevant posts, with maybe some audio podcasts or some sort of multimedia clips on the blog to really promote what's going on in the language centre. So I think there's plenty of ways of promoting using existing social media means, using Twitter as well to amplify further blog posts. So you could have a system whereby each blog post is highlighting interesting things where maybe schools have come in to visit, and so other schools can get the idea of how they could use the language centre to enhance their own language programme in their own school. And then Twitter can amplify that further by giving a direct link to the blog post. People can be encouraged to follow the Twitter account. And I think that would be a great way of starting off by promoting what's going on at the language centre. So it's really, to start off with, it's really about raising awareness through existing means such as social media, because there are lots of people out there using these sorts of channels, and I think that that's one way of tapping in, or having a Facebook page as well. So you could mirror what's going on the blog onto the Facebook page. Lots of people like to interact with that, and I think that would be a key option to start off by promoting what was going on at the language centre, for definite. I think there's a real challenge for language centres who maybe aren't using them to the best that they could. I think that the message has to go out to principals they're in schools with these language centres to make sure they do use them for enhancing language learning. So there needs to be messages going out to the community, people being encouraged to come along to the language centre. So if there isn't, for example, a language programme at the school, then that's obviously sending out the wrong message, and it's really important that the principals are galvanised together and are expected to offer language programmes at the either offer language programmes or make sure that the language centre is being used either by students from their own school, or more importantly to reach out to the local community. Now in the UK, which is where I'm from, there are lots of good examples of the use of technology in places such as city learning centres or CLCs, whereby schools will come in for the afternoon or for the whole day and do interesting creative multimedia projects such as filmmaking, animation, green screening and what have you, and then have a creative outcome at the end of it. And I think that's a fantastic way of promoting what's going on in their local schools, but maybe they don't have access to the kit, so they go into the language centre, or the CLC in this case, but they could have the same thing in Australia, go into the language centre and be able to work with specialists in their field who can then help them to create multimedia interesting projects and really enhance the language learning and to get everything kick-started. So if there are heads out there listening to this, watching this, who know they have a language centre, they've had the money, as it were, to have the language centre, but they're not using it, then I would suggest that they think about why that is and what they need to do about it in order to encourage the language centre to be used as it was designed to be used, so it's fit for purpose. Because if that's not happening, then that's a real disappointing aspect of, or a disappointing outcome, considering the amount of money that's been spent on the centres, and also the injustice that the local schools are not getting the opportunity to take advantage of the system that is in place, that's been paid for and funded, because there's huge potential. As I've said already, there's lots of interesting projects you can do. You could do distance learning opportunities via Skype, because obviously in South Australia you've got huge distances to cover. You've got many hundreds of kilometres possibly between schools that would be interested in taking part in these different programmes and the use of technology. And I don't see why language centres that have the technology shouldn't use it in order to meet the needs of everybody in South Australia, not just their own school, which seems to be what's happening. So I was quite surprised when I heard that was the case.